Hello students, this is Mr. Hart. In this video we're going to make our last Scratch program. Okay, and this one is a little tricky, but it's a common one students request, and that's how to make a platformer game like a Mario type game. Okay, but if you feel comfortable with this, then you can pretty much do anything in Scratch, I feel like. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to hide myself, and let's get started. Okay. So first of all, like I said last time, I like to focus on what characters we're going to need and what our background's going to need to be first. Okay. So I made fun of the cat a couple times ago, so I feel bad, so I'm going to leave the cat as our main character. Okay. But I'm going to make him a little bit smaller. Okay. And then let's add something for the cat to get. What could it be? Let's see. Let's say the cat wants to get this glass of water. Right, why not? He's thirsty. Okay, so I'm also going to make that a little bit smaller. Okay, and this is going to be our thing that appears on the stage that he collects. Okay, that's actually really big. Let's make that smaller. Okay. Now we need to design our stage. Okay, so we're going to go to our backdrop. And for simplicity, I'm just going to make some platforms. Okay, so this is our main platform. Maybe we have a platform there, and a platform there, and a platform there, and maybe there's one up here and one up there. Okay, you can design it however you want. I'm going to make that one a little bit smaller. Okay, so what we want to do is the cat needs to go around the stage to collect the water, etc. Okay, so let's start with the mechanics for the cat. Okay, so I'm going to go back to his code. Let's start with the easy part. Okay, left and right. Okay, so when the game starts, I'm going to do a forever if statement, and if the person is pressing left, I want to change the x by -10, and if the person is going to the right, I want to change the x by +10. Okay, and this works great, except the cat is not falling and he can't jump. Okay, I'm also gonna maybe make that -7, so it's not too fast. All right, that looks better. Okay, so in order to do jumping and falling, we need to do a little bit of physics here. Okay, which of course I don't mind being a physics teacher, but it can be a little bit daunting if you haven't seen physics before. The main thing, though, is that we need two variables to simulate gravity. Okay, one of them is actual gravity itself. Okay, in fact, I'll make that for all sprites in case we want anyone else to use gravity. Okay, and the other one is speed. Okay, and in this case, it's in the y direction, meaning how high or how fast is he moving up or down. Okay, so when we start the game, let's set both of those, let's set both of those to their correct values. Speed will just be 0. Gravity we'll need to play around with, but for now, for simplicity, I'm just going to set it to 1. Okay, so what we need to do is let's actually make a separate event, a separate set of code controlling gravity. Okay, so it will be a forever loop. Okay, gravity is always pulling on us. Okay, so no matter what, I want to have gravity pull down. Okay, so gravity does two things. It changes your speed. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Gravity does two things. It changes your speed by a negative value. Okay, actually, for simplicity, I'll change gravity to -1. Okay, so we're going to change our speed by gravity. Okay, but it also moves you, so we're also going to change our y value by our current speed. Okay, I'm going to hide that one as well. All right, so let's make sure we really understand what this says. Okay, gravity's always pulling on me, and every second it's going to do two things. It's going to change my speed, or change my position by how fast I'm going, and it's going to change my speed to go faster and faster. Okay, in the negative y direction. That's why we made gravity -1. Okay, let me. Sorry, just for simplicity, for clarity, I'm going to put this one over here. Okay. All right, so let's see if this simulates falling. Okay, it does. Our cat did fall, but you'll notice he falls through everything, so that's not good. So let's first of all set a starting position. Let's put him right here, for example. Okay. And we also need to make boundaries for when he hits these purple blocks. Okay, so we're going to do the if touching again thing, right? The if touching a color. In this case, we want it to be this purple color. Then he should stop. How do we tell him to stop? Well, in this case, we just set speed to 0. Let's see if it works. Okay, so he kind of went down a little too much, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. Okay, but now if his speed is 0, then he won't keep falling down. All right, so now let's add a jumping button. So if we want to add a jumping button, we add an if statement. Nope. We want it to not be nested. I'll just put it on the bottom here. Okay. So if the user presses a key, you can decide which one this is, space or up. I'll go ahead and do up. What should happen? Jumping is essentially changing your speed. Okay, so I'm going to go back and change my speed and actually set my speed to let's just say +7 for right now. Okay, so now what should happen is if I press up, he kind of jumps into the air. Okay, but there's one problem here. We got our full mechanics, but now I can double jump, triple jump, quadruple jump, or I can just keep holding up and I'll fly. Okay, so there's a couple ways you can handle this. Okay, and yet one of them is with other if statements. Okay, another one is with a variable of some kind. It's up to you. For me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a variable. Okay. Let's say I only want to allow a double jump. Okay. So I'm going to make a new variable called number of jumps. Okay. And if I ever press up, I'm going to change number of jumps by 1. But I will only do that doing another if statement. Sorry, sometimes getting these to play nicely work. It's hard. I will only do that if the number of jumps is less than 3, meaning you can't do more than a double jump. Okay. Or actually, I'll just set it to 2. So now if my number of jumps is less than 2, then I'll do that. Otherwise, I'll have to stop. Okay? So when do we set number of jumps to 0? Well, we do that if we ever hit the ground again. So I'm going to set number of jumps back to 0 here. Okay? So if I hit the ground, I set speed back to 0 and number of jumps to 0. And I'm allowed to jump as long as it's less than 2. Let's see if that works. Maybe I need to do 3. Let me try that. Not sure why that is not working. Okay, it's kind of working. Not as good as I thought it would. Let's, for simplicity, just to make sure, another way we could do this is to do an AND statement in operators. So I'm going to do an AND. Okay, so if the arrow is pressed and number of jumps is less than 3, then do that. Okay. Let's see if that helps any bit. Okay, yeah, that was a lot better. Maybe. Let's turn gravity down to make it a little bit easier to jump as well. So we'll go down to negative 0.2. Okay. There we go. That's a little light. Let's try negative 0.5. Yeah, my number of jumps wasn't working as well as I thought it would. I'm not sure why. Okay, another good practice. This is actually a good thing to point out. If you're ever not sure what's going on, okay, a good thing to do is to actually print out what your variables are. So I'm going to print out what number of jumps looks like so I can see why it's not working. Okay, so when the if statement is working too well and it's holding up number of jumps too much. Okay. So what I'm going to actually do is put this into a when this button is clicked. So it won't work quite so fast. Okay. So I'm going to put that into here and then say if this occurs, then do that. Okay. That should make it not run so quickly. Oh, I still need my if number of jumps is equal. So if number of jumps is less than 2, we got my number of jumps. Okay. That seems to not work at all. Oh, because I'm too far down on the color. That's why. Okay. To make this work better, I'm just going to put a change in Y right here of like 5. Okay. Maybe that was too much. Let's do like 3. Maybe 2. Okay, so he's bouncing a little bit, but that works a lot better. Okay. I bet if we refactored the if loops and everything, then we can make this even more stable. Okay, but for now we have our basic mechanics working. Okay, and this cat can double jump. Okay. All right. So this is why I was saying it's so tricky. It's a lot of mechanics. It's a lot of control issues. But once you have that all down, then you have the hard part down of a platformer. Okay, and that is actually getting the cat to move properly. All right. So for the water, it's not too bad. We'll just do a wait until clicked, right? They'll say wait until you're touching the cat, which in this case is sprite 1. And then if you ever get touched by the cat, then you should make a clone of yourself. Okay. Maybe add points to a score, right? If we want to make a score, we want to show that. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and see if you create a clone, right? When I start as a clone, basically do the same thing, right? So I'm going to duplicate that. And then the clone should also delete itself. Okay. For simplicity, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and just put the glass down here where it can't be hit and hide it. And then for the clone, we'll say start at a random position and always show yourself instead of being hidden. Okay. And there we go. So now we should have our cat getting the glass. The glass moves to another spot. Oop. There we go. And we could do other things. In fact, I forgot to add the score, so let's make a change score by 1, whatever. Okay. And we have our basic platformer game. Okay. You can do a lot of other things like making sure the glass doesn't get too high or too low by setting a variable for the random position and controlling the boundaries. I'm sure there's a way to get rid of this jiggling that's occurring, and you have, of course, making sure the glass doesn't go too low. But that is the basics of a platformer. Okay. And again, the main thing or takeaway is this gravity loop that you need to change the speed, okay, and make sure the object continues to fall, okay, change y by the speed and change the speed by gravity, okay. If you have that loop, then you can have the platformer effect, okay. And I'm sure if you follow other tutorials and stuff, they would have even more solutions to make this better. But that should be plenty good for your project if that's what you would like to do for your platformer. Okay? There we go. Okay? So that is Scratch. Okay? Hopefully this has been fun. Hopefully you enjoy making that animation in your game. Okay? And there's a lot to this, but when you get familiar with this, it's really helpful, especially if you're going to do anything with science or engineering, or especially coding, right? It's a fun way to create things. You can make really powerful things if you learn how to code. And you can continue this knowledge on to other languages. So if you start to feel comfortable with Scratch, start to pick up another programming language such as Python or Java or JavaScript or C++, right? They're all going to be based on these same principles. They may not have the nice visuals that Scratch has, but it still uses operator, it still uses controls, it still uses events, okay, stuff like that. So hopefully this has been a good stepping stone for you, and I hope you enjoy your future working with computers, okay? Hopefully this class has been something that you've enjoyed. Thank you guys. Have a good one.